Come on. Good evening, everyone. This is Ron Tyler with Emergency Management Associates coming to you live from the Crossroads of the West in Salt Lake City, Utah. The time right now is 6:05 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time in the Intermountain West, the United States of America on Friday, April 10th, 2020. It is Good Friday.
Per assistere al prodigioso duello tra la vita e la morte, scoprendo come i figli del bene si intreccino inevitabilmente con i fili del male. Contemplare il Calvario da dietro le sbarre e credere che un'intera vita si possa giocare in pochi istanti, come è accaduto al buon ladrone. Basterà riempire quegli attimi di verità, il pentimento per la colpa commessa, la convinzione che la morte non è per sempre, la certezza che Cristo è l'innocente ingiustamente deriso. Tutto è possibile a chi crede, perché anche nel buio delle carceri risuona l'annuncio pieno di speranza. Nulla è impossibile a Dio. Se qualcuno gli stringerà la mano, l'uomo che è stato capace del crimine più orrendo potrà essere il protagonista della risurrezione più inattesa. Certi che anche quando il male e la sofferenza vengono narrati, si può lasciare spazio alla redenzione, riconoscendo in mezzo al male il dinamismo del bene e dargli spazio. È così che la via Crucis diventa una via Lucis.
Those are the words of the Pope earlier today in the Vatican in Rome. I am now going to go to another clip here that we have. You'll just bear with me a second while I find it here.
A call from the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for faiths of the world to unite in prayer and fasting.
I invite all, including those not of our faith, to fast and pray on Good Friday, April 10th, that the present pandemic may be controlled, caregivers protected, the economy strengthened, and life normalized.
Join people of all faiths this Friday for a day of healing and peace.
Folks, that was the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints the other day on Sunday, calling for this Friday, today, Good Friday, for a day of peace, of happiness, and of fasting and prayer for not just this nation, but the world, to be healed of the coronavirus, and also to be able to come together in one faith and one God, to be able to pray for our world to come together, to give thanks for those who we love the very most, our families, our loved ones, and our caregivers, our first responders, to pray for them, to help them, and to be able to help us become better people. That was what today was all about. Good Friday, a day of peace, to commemorate the crucifixion of our Savior, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who died on the cross and is now risen. Sunday morning at 10 o'clock Mountain Daylight Time, we will be doing a presentation, a Sunday school, a day of "Come Follow Me," the Savior said. We're going to be talking about the resurrection, the atonement and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. We ask you to join us on the Freedom Revolution Network here for "Come Follow Me" at 10 o'clock Sunday morning, where we will be commemorating the resurrection, the atonement and resurrection of our Savior Jesus Christ. And we ask you to join us here for that. We come now to you with a lot of things that have happened in the past 24 hours since we first came to you. There have been a lot of things that have happened. One of the biggest things that have happened is a eruption, a 47 to a 50,000 foot eruption at Anak Krakatau in the Indonesia country between Java and Sumatra. Here you see a picture, an infrared picture of Anak Krakatau erupting, and it was in the middle of the night in in Indonesia when this erupted. I am going to now show you on a map in just a second where Krakatau is, but this is the eruption of Krakatau this afternoon, or in the middle of the night, Friday night, Saturday morning down in Indonesia today. So you can stand by with me just for a second, and I'll bring up that website so you can see that where the location of where Anak Krakatau is. Give me just a second here. There is a lot of information that has been going on today, and we are going to take you and show you everything that has happened and everything that is going to be happening. We're going to be talking about earthquake forecast. We're going to be talking about earthquakes that have happened already and what is going to happen. We're going to be discussing it all here. Okay, I've got the map set up. Okay, this is a USGS map. As most of you know, we use the USGS and the EMSC map to show you where earthquakes are happening, what is going on, and what we are doing about it. Okay, in this largest blob here in the middle of the, excuse me, in the Indian Ocean here, this is Krakatoa Island, where the volcano is. Almost directly in the middle of the island here is Anak Krakatoa, the volcano that erupted today. Now this eruption again went up to 47 to 50,000 feet up into the stratosphere. As we tried to explain to you earlier today, that is where the volcanoes, or the eruption of, for example, Shiveluch volcano that erupted up to 65,000 feet last year. That was also the volcano where all the experts, USGS and everybody, denied it happened. And then all of a sudden they decided, oh, we're sorry, but yes, it did happen. By that time, the ash from Shiveluch volcano had already been around the world, probably at least once, if not was on the way around the world twice. That was in the Northern Hemisphere, folks. This earthquake, this volcanic eruption today here at Anak Krakatoa is in the Southern Hemisphere. Okay, it's in the Southern Hemisphere. Over here in Jakarta, 100 miles away, we have felt reports, and we also have people that heard this volcano erupt over 100 miles away from where this Anak Krakatoa erupted. That's how powerful this volcano was. Now, because of what has happened, because this volcano erupted with such force to go up to 50,000 feet, up into the stratosphere, that was a powerful eruption. Okay, now what is going to happen? I'm going to, during the coming minutes, I'm going to try to explain to you what has happened with this particular volcano and what has happened to the earth down under. Now, one of the things that we need to explain to you, that this was a powerful eruption. This erupted with very much force, huge force. That force is going to cause repercussions. If you remember from our school days, there is a theory that was put forth, it's been proven fact, for every reaction, for every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. Now this volcano, when it erupted, there was a lot of force behind it. Now what is going to happen is that area, and we've tried to explain this to you in past episodes of this program, that whole area is based on a system of subduction zones, faults, if you will. It's exactly what they are faults. There's 7 different powerful faults in that area, and that area is constantly subducting. Well, because this volcano erupted with such force, there's going to be reactive earthquakes. Earthquakes are going to happen as a result of this volcanic eruption. Now, in some cases, with some volcanoes, when there are eruptions, it doesn't necessarily cause a earthquake. And that's what happened in this particular case. There was no earthquake. I'm sure there was some kind of earth force, some kind of seismic energy that was released. Now, it wasn't a sufficient force of a large earthquake, I'm going to show you the Google Earth representation of Krakatoa. This is a picture of Krakatoa. Okay, this is Krakatoa Island over in the Indian Ocean between Java and Sumatra. Okay, Sumatra is here to the left and the upper part of your screen. Java here is down here. Here is Jakarta that we showed you on the USGS map. Okay, this eruption was felt over in Jakarta. It was not just felt, it was heard as what was described as a giant roar. Okay, so this volcano erupted and there was force. In order to have been a giant roar and any kind of shaking, it had to have been a very powerful eruption, which it was. It got the ash and gases went up to 50,000 feet, up into the stratosphere. We will be expecting a subsequent reactive earthquake as a result of this eruption. Now, what is going to happen here? You can see the region, this whole area here, the craton. Okay, this craton is always moving. That's why we get earthquakes here in Java and up here into Sumatra. And we did have some earthquakes up here in northern Sumatra today. And we did have earthquakes down here in Java. And we had numerous earthquakes over here in central Indonesia. And we even had some earthquakes over in Papua New Guinea today. But because of this earthquake over here at Krakatoa, there is going to be further earthquakes. This whole area, folks, is constantly moving. There are seven fault zones here, 7 subduction zones, and one plate is going underneath another plate. That's why we continue to have a lot of earthquakes here in this area. Now, that's not the only thing that's going on today. There's a lot of other things going on, okay? Here in central Indonesia, okay, we have a lot of earthquakes. Over here in Mindanao, Philippines, we had a 5.1 earthquake today. Mindanao, Philippines, right here where you see my cursor. Over here in northern Philippines, we had a 5.9 magnitude earthquake while it was off the coast. While it was off the coast of the Philippines, these people still felt it. It was a 5.9 earthquake. 5.9 earthquakes are going to be felt. If this had been on land, there would have been massive destruction. Now, while this one over Mindanao, Philippines was on land, and it was a large earthquake, a 5.1, 5.1 earthquakes can cause massive damage, and they can cause injuries, and in some cases, death. As you know, last year, down here in Mindanao, Philippines, these poor people in Davao City here, let me see if they can show it here on this particular map. You've got Davao Gulf here, and Davao City is right here in the middle of everything. This was where the 6.5, 6.7s, and 6.9s and 7.1 earthquake occurred. Davao City here. These people have felt massive earthquakes. And in fact, as you can go back and pull our videos from when these earthquakes happened last year, and you will hear me talk about and show you pictures and even video of what happened here in the Philippines. Buildings were destroyed. Buildings became uninhabitable. Schools had to be closed because the buildings had become uninhabitable. They could not be used. These poor people have suffered enough. And then they got hit today by another 5.1 magnitude earthquake. And then, over here in Japan, they got hit by even more earthquakes today, right up here in Japan here. And we're going to be talking about that. And that wasn't the only place that got hit today. It was not the only place that got hit. Let's go back to the USGS map here. Okay. I'm going to show you some of the earthquakes that have hit today. And then we're going to go over to the United States early on, because I have a lot of information that I want to share with you. Information that could be very important, in that lives depend on this information. Okay, so we are going to be sharing a lot of information with you tonight. Okay, first off, over here in Papua New Guinea, we had well, let's go over here to the South Pacific first. Over here in New Caledonia, we had a 4.6, excuse me for that, I just moved that cursor a little bit too much, a 4.6 magnitude earthquake near Hunter, New Caledonia. Now this was 86 miles or 86 kilometers, approximately 52 miles, 54 miles off the coast of New Caledonia. Now, while this was off the coast, it still has had the opportunity to do damage, except for one thing. Since it was off the coast of New Caledonia, the water absorbed the energy. If this had hit on land, it could have caused damage. It did not. The surrounding water absorbed the energy of this earthquake. Over in Papua New Guinea, we also had a 4.5 magnitude earthquake. Now, if you notice, this earthquake in New Caledonia was only 47 kilometers deep, approximately 28 miles deep. This one over here in Papua New Guinea was 111 kilometers deep, a fairly deep earthquake. Over here in Lorengau, Papua New Guinea, we had a 4.5 magnitude earthquake here. Okay, but that wasn't the only thing that hit. There was also a 4.9, 5.0 earthquake. Now this hit at 3:46 UTC, 3:46 in the morning UTC. This other earthquake hit at 6:46. So this 4.9, 5.0 earthquake was the primary earthquake. It was the largest earthquake. This other one hit about 3 hours later, 4.5. It's the aftershock from the 4.9, 5.0 earthquake here in Papua New Guinea. Now this was offshore again, 122 kilometers offshore, about 75 miles offshore from Papua New Guinea today. Okay, then we will go up here to the Philippines. Now, USGS is not showing you all the earthquakes. We are also going to go back to the EMSC, and you'll see that this whole area has been hit with earthquakes. USGS is not showing them. Okay, again, offshore from the Davao, Philippines. This is just southeast of the Gulf of Davao, or Davao Gulf here in the Philippines. they got hit by a 5.1 earthquake. And this was felt over in Davao City right here and throughout the southern area of Mindanao, Philippines. They also had a 4.3 magnitude earthquake today. This was a deep one. This moderate earthquake was a deep earthquake, 542 kilometers deep. The main shock to 5.1 was only 76 kilometers deep, about 45 miles deep. 45 miles deep. Not quite deep enough to go into the asthenosphere where the magma is. Where the magma is. Now, why am I talking about magma? Volcanoes, folks. We had an eruption in Krakatoa today. We're going to be talking about other volcanoes in a very few minutes. So this earthquake did not go down into the asthenosphere, even though it was a large quake. This earthquake, the 4.3 moderate quake, just off the southwest coast of Mindanao, Philippines, was 542 kilometers deep, 543 for all intents and purposes, 542.9, so it was 543 kilometers deep. This was down into the asthenosphere. Okay, now we've talked about, and Dutch has talked about how when we have an earthquake of this magnitude, and it also has a depth corresponding depth, we usually will see a larger and shallower earthquake. Now, we already had this one off the southeast coast of Mindanao, Philippines. This one is west of there, almost directly west from this 4.9 or this 5.1 here. Where is it? Where is the fulcrum point? Right here between the two. Right here between these two earthquakes. So there's probably going to be a larger, shallower earthquake right in here in the next 3 to 5 days, maybe 7 days. Okay, that's where that is. The next earthquake we want to talk about was over near Marizo Village, Guam, a United States protectorate, a territory of the United States. This was a large 5.0 magnitude earthquake, 10 kilometers deep. Now, again, 10 kilometers is variable. As Lucy Jones explained to us last July 2019, when we see 10 kilometers deep, that means the scientists either one, were not able to ascertain the exact depth of the earthquake, and they just label it 10 kilometers just to be able to give it a label, or it really was 10 kilometers deep, which is 2.5 miles. Excuse me, not even 2.5 miles. It's 5.5 miles deep. 10 kilometers, 5.5 miles. Okay, that's over in Guam, or off the coast of Guam today. Over here, north of the Philippines, again in the ocean, off the north coast of Luzon, Philippines. This is Luzon here. We had a 5.9 magnitude earthquake. 5.9 magnitude earthquake. Again, in the ocean between the Philippines and Taiwan. Taiwan earlier this week had a 4.9, 5.0 off the northeast coast of Taiwan. Okay, up here in Japan, central Japan, 4.4 magnitude earthquake off the coast of central Japan. It's a moderate earthquake. Off the coast of Hokkaido today, we had another 4.5, 42 kilometers south of Shizmai, 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 Japan, off the south coast of Hokkaido. Now, earlier this week, I have to excuse me, again, I'm getting air and the air dries me out, and I'm talking a lot. We had a 7.5 magnitude quake right off the southern coast of Kamchatka, Russia, here in the Kuril Islands. This is the Kuril Islands, 7.5 magnitude earthquake here. We've also had 2 eruptions of volcanoes here on Kamchatka. Right over here, approximately in this area where you see my cursor, we have Klyuchevskoy volcano. This has erupted. We also right in near here where my cursor is here, we have another volcano, Shevelush. Shevelush also has had a 29,000 foot eruption, as had Klyuchevskoy. Going back down here to Japan, the island of Honshu, we had Sakurajima yesterday with a 39,000 foot eruption. And we have Shirabujima volcano here, also in that same area where Sakurajima is, that has also erupted. And these were 20,000 foot eruptions of Sakurajima yesterday had a 29,000 foot eruption, and Shirabujima had a 20,000 foot eruption. And there is another volcano, Aso or Aso-san, in that same area, which has also been erupted. 3 volcanoes down here. So we've had 3 here. We've got 2 here in Kamchatka. Down here in Indonesia, over here, not only do we have Krakatau, we have Dukono volcano, Merapi, and we also have Kerinci volcano. So we have 4 volcanoes over here in Indonesia that have been erupting. 4 volcanoes here. We have 3 up here in Japan. 3 up here in Japan. And we've got 2 here in Kamchatka, Russia. Okay, that's 9 volcanoes right there. 9 volcanoes right there. The one we haven't heard anything about yet and hasn't been erupting as of yet is Ebeko volcano here in the Kuril Islands. I fully expect that one to light off pretty soon too. Okay, I expect that to light off. Now, as I've said, we've had these 2 volcanoes in Kamchatka, Russia go. Earlier this week, we've had a 7.5 magnitude earthquake in the Kuril Islands just off the south coast of Kamchatka. 7.5, folks, a very powerful earthquake. And they downgraded to from 7.9. I have a feeling it probably was a lot stronger than a 7.5. We know what happens with these agencies. Okay, now USGS is not telling us about Amatanak Island or Adak Island, where we both have volcanoes that are not erupting, but we've had earthquakes down here that they're not even showing. Okay, they're only showing 1 earthquake, a lone earthquake in Houston, Alaska, just north of Anchorage. This was a 3.2 magnitude earthquake. Now, folks, granted that I have my earthquakes here set at 2.5, but they're not even showing the 2.5s here. And there were quite a few of them. There were quite a few earthquakes up here in Alaska, and they're not showing them. Also, look down here. There were quite a few earthquakes over here in the Pacific Northwest that they're not showing. Okay, before we get to the United States and northern Mexico there, because we have an earthquake here that we're going to point out, and it's just happened as we're coming on the air up here in North Baja, Mexico. We'll come back. We're going to show you that. I promise you, we're not going to leave here without showing you that. There were also only 2 earthquakes that USGS wants to tell us about here in South America. This one is in northern Chile, in Iquique, Chile. Excuse me, not in, but near there, 148 kilometers southeast of Iquique, Chile. A 4.4 moderate earthquake happened there. 148 kilometers from Iquique, Chile. That's about 85 miles southeast of Iquique, Chile. Now, this same area, Iquique, Chile, has had 8.0 magnitude earthquakes about 5 years ago. Okay, so it's not strange. It's not foreign to large earthquakes. This was a moderate 4.4. But again, USGS is not being honest with you. And I'm going to show some much larger earthquakes in just a minute. Over here in Peru, central Peru, a 4.5 moderate quake hit 35 kilometers, approximately 20 miles south-southeast of Pucallpa, Peru. Pucallpa, Peru. Okay, they're not also showing anything up here in northern South America either. Okay, we want to point out over here in the South Sandwich Islands today, we had another 5.0 large earthquake down here. We had one down here just about 4 days ago. Okay, we had another one today. Yesterday we had a 5.1 magnitude quake up here in the North Mid-Atlantic along this fracture zone, this earthquake fault. We also had a 3.4 right up here off of the mid-North Atlantic fault zone, but they said it was more as a result of earthquakes here in the Azores. No, I don't care what they say. It was right here at this triple junction, or dual junction. It's actually only 2 faults, but on 2 separate sides of the fault. But it was right here, 3.4, and that was here yesterday. We also have numerous earthquakes here in Europe that USGS is not telling us about. Why? I don't know, because they're much larger than 2.5. And yes, there's a lot of ones as well. But again, USGS is not telling us about it. The only earthquake they're telling us about is in Farkar, Afghanistan. Farkar, Afghanistan, a 4.1. Okay, so that's what they want us to hear. They're only showing 59 earthquakes. They're only showing 59 earthquakes. You want to really know how many earthquakes we've had? Let me tell you how many earthquakes we've had. Since the beginning of the year, we've had 19,951 earthquakes. This is according to the Volcano Discovery Channel, the Volcano Discovery app. 19,951 earthquakes. Today, I will tell you how many earthquakes we've had today. I go over to Earthquake Tracker. It tells me how many earthquakes we've had today. We've had 227 earthquakes today. 227 earthquakes. Okay, that's what's going on. How many here USGS says? 59. That's a far cry from 257 earthquakes. A huge far cry from 27 earthquakes. Okay, now we are going to go over to the EMSC map, and I'll show you what earthquakes we did have today. And it's a sad day that our own agency here in the United States won't even tell us exactly how many earthquakes we've had, because they like to hide them. They don't want people to be fearful of anything. They don't want people to be thinking about anything. They'd rather not talk about it, because heaven forbid, we've got so much to fear. You know, Theodore Roosevelt and Harry S. Truman, former presidents of the United States, both presidents around the same time as World War II. The only thing, Truman says, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Harry Truman said, walk tall, actually, Theodore Roosevelt said, walk tall and carry a big stick. Well, somebody needs to carry a big stick around USGS and beat them with it. Honestly, that's what I truly feel. Somebody needs to carry a big stick and beat the USGS people with it, because they don't get it. They don't get it. And they never will. They just never will. Plain and simple. Okay, I've told you about the major earthquakes we've had today. And they're not major, they're large. The biggest one's a 5.9. And quite honestly, we're going to have even bigger earthquakes very soon. Going down into the South Pacific today, I want to talk about these earthquakes over in New Zealand. New Zealand's gotten hit over off the north coast and over on the North Island of New Zealand today. Okay, I'm going to lower the light on my phone so you can better see these earthquakes. Over further off the northeast coast, excuse me, the north coast, not east, but north coast, we had a 3.0 off the far north side of the North Island of New Zealand. Then we have, and I'm not going to show you the magnitudes of each of these quakes, I'll read them to you. Just south of there, we had a 2.62, a 2.62, and a 2.28. So again, what did we have here, folks? I want to point it out, and I've been pointing them out for several days. We had a 3 here. We had 2 6.2s side by side. 2 6.2s side by side. How many more earthquakes are we going to have like that side by side? The same magnitude earthquake side by side. Then we have a third earthquake here, actually a fourth, another 2.28. Okay, I just wanted to point that out. I just wanted to point that out to you. Off the northeast coast of New Zealand, we had a 2.73 and a 2.4. Going into the east coast of the North Island, we had a 2.81. Then over here, just northwest of the volcano, this is the volcano right here in New Zealand. Okay, that has been rumbling, but this particular earthquake is only a 3.7, just northwest of that volcano. But this volcano has been rumbling. It is a lake, Taupo Lake, T-A-U-P-O, Taupo Lake. It's a volcano, and it's got water in it. Now, prior to Krakatoa, and that Krakatoa erupting today, in the summit of the volcano, there was a lake. And there had been molten lava. And then there was a collection of water there right before the eruption. That's why they had a pyroclastic eruption, a magmatic eruption at Krakatoa today. One of the reasons it was so powerful, there was water involved. Okay. North of there, we had another 2.21 magnitude quake. Okay. Then over on, we've already talked about that one over off the, or on the north coast, the east coast of the North Island there. Then off the coast, we had a 2.73 and a 2.45 off the east coast of the North Island there. Again, look at where these two earthquakes were. They were on fault, the big, huge fault zone running up and down the east coast of New Zealand here. Okay. Now, where were these other earthquakes? They were on the other ridge here, north of New Zealand. Okay, I just want to point it out. That's why we have those earthquakes. They were on faults, undersea fault zone. Off the west coast, the southwest coast of New Zealand, we also had several other earthquakes. 3 of them here off the southwest coast. First off, right at the shoreline near Oahu, we had a 2.28. Then offshore, we had a 2.74 and a 2.21. Now, the South Island does not usually have many earthquakes. Over in the northern part of the South Island, we had a 2.34 and a 2.42. 2.42 and a 2.34. This one is near Leihard, Canterbury, New Zealand. I'm sorry, doggone it. There we go. Near Leihard, Canterbury, New Zealand there. And that's all that happened there. I'm sorry, that's not true. Southland, New Zealand. Southland National Park, New Zealand. We had a 2.5 in the south end there, southeast end. Okay, that's what happened in New Zealand. So now we've told you about everything in the South Pacific, including New Caledonia. We told you about everything over in Papua New Guinea and Indonesia and up into Japan. We did have a quake over the southeast end of China. We had a 4.3 in the southeast end of China. And then we had more earthquakes going over into Afghanistan. Okay, let me go over there into northern India, into Afghanistan. Northern India, there was a 3.75. Northwest India, 3.75. And we had these other earthquakes, Kashmir, India. We had a 3.86. Okay, and there was a series of earthquakes here. We had a 3.86 and a 2.4. Okay, 2.4. Then we had 2 earthquakes side by side, a 3.8 and a 4.1. Okay, that was in Afghanistan, Takhar, Afghanistan, and Tada, Afghanistan. Okay, and notice where these earthquakes are. Okay, I'm going to back this out just a little bit. Notice where these earthquakes are. Coming out of China along the Craton, just north of India. What do we have north of India? Say Kilimanjaro. We have that huge Craton here, don't we? That's where these earthquakes are. We know that earthquakes are not being reported in China. There's a reason these earthquakes happened. There's a reason. Going down into Iran and Iraq, we have more earthquakes here. And I'm just going to touch on these because there's bigger fish to fry. There's a lot bigger fish to fry. We're going to be talking about that. Over in Iran, we've got 2s, 2.5s, 2.1s, 2.8s, 2.9s, Turkmenistan. Okay, going over into Eastern Turkey, we've got 3.6s. Okay, 3.6s, 2.6, 2.5s. Okay, going down here into Israel, we have a 4.1 in the South District in Israel, 4.1 there. Okay, now that's significant. 4.1 in Israel. Over on the other end of the ocean there, Cygnus region, we have another 2.1 there. That's over off the southwestern coast of Turkey. We've had 2.1s, 2.4s, 2.5s, all through here in Turkey. Over here in the Dolkanese Islands right here, we have 3.6s and a 2.7. 3.6 and 2.7. Okay. Over around Crete, north and south of Crete today. Okay, we've got 2 earthquakes. This is Crete here, the island of Crete, and 2 earthquakes north and south of there. North of there, we have a 2.5, and south of there, we have a 0.6. Said the blind mouse. South and north, differing size earthquakes, one on the north side and one on the south side. Remember that, different sides, signs, different sizes. I don't know why I can't talk today. Different size of earthquakes today. Okay, going over into Greece, we have quite a few earthquakes, large swarm of earthquakes throughout Greece. Corinth, we have a 1.7. 1.7 there. Central Greece, we have a 0.60 in the Aegean Sea. Patras, okay, remember Patras, named after the Apostle Peter. We have a 1.0, but we also have a small series of quakes there too. 1.0, 0.6, 0.3 near the Aegean Sea there. Okay, going north, we have a 1.8. These are just minor quakes around Greece. That seems to be what we get until we get a 5.0 or greater earthquake. However, going up into Algeria in that area, then we start getting earthquakes. For example, I'm not Algeria, Albania, I'm sorry, Albania. Here we have a 2.5. Right here in Albania, we have a 2.5. Okay, just off the west coast of Greece. Zakynthos, we have a 1.6, 1.4, and a 1.0. Here's where we usually see larger quakes, and we don't. There's still small quakes there, minor quakes. Going off the southern end of Sicily, we have a 3.38. 3.38. The north end of Sicily, this is in the Tyrrhenian Sea, we have a 2.7. 2.7. Over here off the coast of southern Italy, in the sole of the boot of Italy, we have a 2.1. Okay, then we have nothing else in Italy at all. Nothing else in Italy. Going to the northeast side, Slovenia, we have a 0.7. I'm sorry, a 0.7. And in Croatia, we have a 3.5. Croatia 3.5, Slovenia right next to it is 0.7. And then along the Craton, look at the Craton, folks. Going up from Italy and Switzerland. In Croatia, or excuse me, in the Czech Republic, we have a 2.7. And north of there, up in Poland, what do we have in Poland? We have a 2.8 up here in Poland. Okay, so that entire area north, south to north here. We have a bunch of 2s there, don't we? Okay. Now again, it skipped Switzerland, it skipped France. And what do we have over here in Spain? Eastern Spain, folks. Eastern Spain. What do we have? The north end, we have 1.7. What do we have down here on the western coast? 1.6, 1.8. And down here on the west or the south end, we have a 2.0 and a 1.9. So we have 1s up here, and then we have 1.9 or 2.0. What about here over near the Azores? West of Gibraltar, we have a 2.5 and a 2.2. 2.9 or 2.2. Okay. The next earthquakes I'm going to show you are down in the Canary Islands. We have a 2.4 and a 2.3 right next to each other. 2.4 or 2.3 here in the Canary Islands. Okay, now we spent a great deal of time the last hour showing you the world. Okay, we have a lot of earthquakes. We have a lot of strong earthquakes. And these are going to be working their way west. And we're going to see more earthquakes over here working their way through India, China, Afghanistan, over here through the Middle East, Iran, Iraq, over here through Israel, all the way in here to Europe. We're going to see more earthquakes and larger earthquakes. It's going to happen as the seismic pressure goes across and through the plate. Across and through the plate. Now, let's talk about, we talked about a few earthquakes over in South America. Let me show you truly what happened in South America today. USGS said there were 2. Look what we have. And then we have another one up here in Colombia, just like I said. They're not showing us what is going on. Going down to Chile, southern Chile. Okay, Tongoy, southern Chile, 3.0 and a 3.2 Coquimbo, Chile, right next to each other. Right next to each other. We have a 3.2 and a 3.0. Just south of there, in region metropolitan region of Chile, we have a 3.2. Going north. Up here near Coquimbo, we have a 3.0. Tarapaca, Chile, a 4.4. 3.0 and a 4.4 next to each other. Going north. Not to be outdone. Perlinacota, Chile, a 3.0. Northern Chile again. North of there, in Peru, at the border, near Pacna, Peru, we have a 3.7. And again, this is near Sabancaya volcano. Near Sabancaya volcano, we have a 3.7. Let's go up into Peru. Central Peru at the coast. Again, this is called Gobierno Regional Gobierno Regional de Lima, Peru, a 3.9 near the coast. And inland, just northeast of there. What do we have 24 miles northeast of there? We have a 4.1. Okay, let me show you that on the larger map. 4.1 is right there. Now that's just northeast of this one near Lima. Okay, 4.1. Just north of there, we have a 4.5. This one is in Popocalipa. Popocatépetl, Peru. This one is a 4.5. Now this one is the only one that USGS told us about, remember? They said we had 2 small quakes over in Chile and nothing else, except this one in Popocatépetl, Peru. Okay, 4.5 there. They also did tell us the 2 quakes up in Colombia, a 2.2 and another 2.2, side by side, exact same size earthquake, side by side. Okay. The last time, the reason I'm mentioning all these side by side earthquakes, what happened July 4th over in Southern California? 2 6.9s, close to each other, not totally side by side, but close. And they deleted one and downgraded the other. Okay, that's why I'm mentioning it. That's why I mentioned it. Doggone it. I can't believe this. They take off my map and they go show everything else but what I want to see. Gosh. All sorts of stupid ads. Okay, going back to my map. Okay, here in Central America, we have friends, folks, that watch this program over in Costa Rica. We also have friend, our buddy Larry, lives in Belize. Let's talk about Central America for a minute. Over in southern Costa Rica. Southern Costa Rica, we had a 3.5 here. In central Costa Rica, more central Costa Rica, we had a 3.1. And what is this next one? Another 3.0 with 3 threes. Just off the coast of Costa Rica, northern Costa Rica, we have a 3.7. So we had some small threes and then a 3.7 off the coast. Interesting, huh? Then what do we see down here in southern Mexico? We see some 3s and 4s swarming. Now we've seen 5s down here recently, and that's why we're seeing swarming picking up here again. After the 5s hit, then we see the earthquake numbers decrease. The further away we get away from the 5s, they start increasing again. It's called time. The longer time is when the earthquakes start increasing. Okay, just northeast of Popocatépetl, Veracruz, noreste de Vera, not Veracruz, noreste de Vera, we have a 3.8 northeast of Popocatépetl, which also erupted today. Okay, we're going to talk about volcanoes in a short while. Okay, we continue to see the earthquakes continue to swarm as we leave southern Mexico and go further north. Okay, near Acapulco, actually just north of Acapulco, we have a 3.6 offshore, and onshore we have another 2.6. 3.6, 2.6. Acapulco's right there. Okay. Not far from Puerto Vallarta. Not far from Puerto Vallarta. We have a 3.2 and a 3.5 in Jalisco, Mexico. Off the coast, we have a 3.7. Again, look at where these faults are, folks. Look at where these faults are, right here. And then one right here. It's right between the two faults. Right between the two faults. And I'm sorry, let me see if I can get these faults turned on. They're supposed to be turned on. Yeah, they're supposed to be turned on, and they haven't been. There they are. Now you see what I'm talking about. Right between the two faults there. Okay, now what do we have going down here in the southern Gulf of California? I wonder what that is. It's an earthquake, isn't it? Of course it is. It's a 3.9. And what fault is that? It's the southern end of the San Andreas Fault, going right down the middle of the Gulf of California. Something to go about, right? Yep, something to think about. Again, I want to go back up to Alaska, and then we're going over into the main part of the continental North American continent. I shouldn't say continental, but the main part of the North American continent. Again, USGS did not show us this. But what do we have here? We have 10 plus earthquakes here. We have 2 more here. And yet USGS did not show us those earthquakes. Something to go about, huh? I find it to be a big issue, especially when we have another volcano. We have another volcano here, and it's swarming. It's swarming. This is Adak Island. Adak Island. And we have earthquakes swarming near the summit. Something to go about. A minus 0.13 up near the summit, meaning above sea level. A 0.26, minus 0.26. Right near the other side of the summit, on the south side of the summit, a minus 0.23, and right at the summit, a minus 0.31, right here. Over on the east side, a minus 0.16, and up here on the far northwest side, a minus 0.13 again. So the entire volcano is surrounded by quakes. And that's a volcano. It's a freaking volcano that USGS isn't telling us about. And it's part of the United States. On the island itself, Adak Island, 0.26, 0.2, minus 0.27, minus 0.19. We have a small swarm of quakes here, all through this area. There's a good sized swarm of earthquakes. This is on the east side of Adak Island. Okay, east side of Adak Island. And USGS hasn't told us about it. And they didn't tell us it's right at the volcano. I have issues with that. Real issues. Since we have volcanoes erupting all over the place, and we have the very great possibility of having a major earthquake down in Southern California and in the Pacific Northwest in the coming days. Coming days, it's going to happen. Further east, Dutch Harbor, Alaska, part of the western peninsula of Alaska, minus 0.41, a 0.03, and a minus 0.30. Again, down here near Alaska. right there. 3 earthquakes there. Going further up the peninsula, not far, Chignik Lake, 0.34. Now, we're not going to read off all these earthquakes. I want to point out that there's huge swarms of earthquakes in here. Huge swarm. Let's go over to Mount Redoubt. We have a minus 0.2 or 0.71, minus 0.71, and a minus 0.91. Again, above sea level at Mount Redoubt, the volcano. And our own agency won't even talk about it. Let's go north. Let's go north. There are a lot more earthquakes, minor earthquakes north of there and across the bay in Larsen Bay. There's more earthquakes there. Over by Anchorage. This is 18 miles east of Anchorage. We have a 1.9. Anchorage is right there. 1.9. I'm sorry, there's a 1.20 west of Anchorage. Just south of Anchorage, in Middleton Island, we have a 1.6. Okay, and we have straight lines of earthquakes going here. Right up here. Straight line. Going south to north. It wasn't just a 10 plus earthquakes. Look at that. A huge swarm of earthquakes north of Anchorage. What do we know about large swarms? Usually when we get large swarms, it means that there's another large earthquake brewing. What did I tell you about 7.5 earthquake just south of Kamchatka Peninsula in the Kuril Islands the other day? Where is it going? Right up here. Yeah, we're going to have another large earthquake in around Alaska, probably Anchorage. Okay. Again, no earthquakes near Mount McKinley, but around it in Denali National Park. Okay. Southeast, 1.3. North of there, 1.6. And west of there, we have a 0.5. Minor quakes all around it, all around Mount McKinley. Okay. Going north, near Esther, Alaska, 0.6. Northeast of there, Badger, Alaska, 1.4. Again, nothing up above the Arctic Circle, not a thing. It's quiet. I don't think that's such a good thing. Kobuk, Alaska, nothing in Kobuk either. Not a thing. I think we have some bigger fish to fry. I think we're going to get large earthquakes, folks. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Let's go to the Pacific Northwest, folks. Again, USGS said there's nothing. What's this? It doesn't look like nothing to me. Let's go up there, see what this is. Just south of Puget Sound, Eatonville, Washington. West of what? Mount Rainier. Eatonville, Washington, directly west of Mount Rainier, we have a 0.3. South of there, just north of Mount St. Helens, we have a 0.3. South and west of the volcanoes. Actually, I'm sorry, not south. North of one volcano and west of another. Same size earthquakes. Same size earthquakes. Something that makes you go, Let's go down to Oregon. Cottage Grove, Oregon, a 1.91. Along the coast, Crescent City, California, a 2.24. Let's go down here to the Triple Junction, the Gorda Escarpment, the San Andreas Fault. And what is this earthquake fault here? The Cascadia Subduction Zone. Let's go to the Triple Junction. What do we have? We have two earthquakes, folks. We've got a 1.56 and a 2.06 just off the coast of Petrolia, California, near the Triple Junction, Cascadia, Gorda Escarpment, and the San Andreas Fault. Two minor quakes again. Directly east of there, Almanor, California, a 2.21. 2.21 near Almanor, California. What do we have east of there? The Garlock Empire in Nevada, we have a 1.1 and a 1.0. There's Lake Tahoe. Garlock, Nevada, Lake Tahoe. Just south of Tahoe, we have Spanish Springs, Nevada. This one is a 1.1. South of there, Indian Hills, Nevada. Indian Hills, Carson City. And we have a volcano just north of there. We're still getting rocked, minor earthquakes around Carson City. 0.1. Looks like we have quite a few, doesn't it? Minor earthquakes around Carson City. 0.3, 0.6, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and a 0.8 all around Carson City. Makes you go home. And a volcano just north of there. Okay. We're going to be talking about Salt Lake City very shortly. Okay. Over here, this is the geysers, man-made plant, electrical generated power plant here. This is a geothermal area where we have dug down, drilled down into the soil, into the crust of the earth to extract steam out of the Clear Lake volcano to turn turbines to generate electricity. 20 plus earthquakes there, south of there. We had St. Helena, California, 1.1, 1.1. Over on the coast, right along the San Andreas Fault, is 0.21. Okay. Now let's go over to east of there. East of there, Bridgeport, California, a 2.5. What is that? Can you say Mammoth? Mammoth Mountain. It's popping, folks. Mammoth Mountain. 0.7, 2.03, 0.17, 0.4, 0.38, 0.88, 1.85 Round Valley. Okay, we have one volcano right here at Mammoth Mountain, And down over here, Round Valley, a 1.86. Round Valley volcano, folks, 1.86. Interesting, huh? 2 volcanoes. And actually, just east of Mammoth Mountain, what do we have? Longs Valley volcano. It's as big as Yellowstone, 11 Grand Canyons in size. Longs Valley, Round Valley, Mammoth, they're all right there, all 3 volcanoes. All 3 volcanoes. And that's not all, folks. There's more. Let's, for the time being, just go back west along the San Andreas Fault. New Ydra, California, a 3.43 magnitude quake. New Ydra, 3.43. New Ydra, California, right on the San Andreas Fault. San Ardo, 1.45, Parkfield, California. The earthquake capital of California, we had a 0.51 in Parkfield. San Ardo, Parkfield. Earthquake capital of California. 3 earthquakes right there. Let's go back east. Bodefish, California. Right there. Bodefish, California. We have a 1.49. That's not all, folks. We have more to show you here. Kozo Junction. Kozo Junction got hit. 1.59. 0.83. Good old Kozo. And 0.86. 3 earthquakes in Kozo Junction. That's on the north side. Nothing in Olancha today, but down in Little Lake, we had more earthquakes, 1.69 and others. Let's go south. It's not over here. The swarm continues. 0.69. This is Cyril's Valley. 0.69, 1.79, 1.23 here in Ridgecrest. Isn't Ridgecrest where we had that earthquake July 4th? Yeah, Ridgecrest is it. It is. 1.1, 0.95, 1.1, 0.76, 1.1, 1.23, 0.72, minor earthquakes, small swarm at Ridgecrest. 0.89, 1.84, Cyril's Valley, 0.95, 1.21. That whole area is still swarming, folks. Still swarming. 0.73 in Ridgecrest. Okay, this earthquake here is 0.73. That's only 4 miles southeast of Ridgecrest. Okay, 4 miles southeast of Ridgecrest. Ridgecrest right here. It's swarming. Swarming. Minor quakes, but swarming. North of the Garlock Fault. Garlock Fault's right here. There's Bodefish, California. 1.49 Bodefish. Garlock Fault. Headed towards Riverside, LA. Actually, LA, not Riverside. What is happening around Riverside and the Anza Gap? Swarming, still. Yorba Linda, we remember, we remember former President Richard M. Nixon. I'm not a crook. My fellow Americans, I'm not a crook. Yorba Linda, California today, 0.81. Rancho Cucamonga, where friends of mine live, is 0.75. Riverside, California. Running Springs, we have a small cache of earthquakes there, just east of the San Andreas Fault. Okay. West of the fault, Redlands, California, 0.65 and a 0.85, right next to each other. Okay, let's go south. Menifee, California. I've got friends there. We have people here in this chat room watching this program from Menifee, Paris, California. Cabazon, 0.85. Okay. Cabazon. Can you say San Jacinto Fault? That's it right there. That's it right there. Going over into the Anza Gap. Look at all the earthquakes, folks. It's still swarming. It's been 6 days. It started picking up last week at this time, and then the swarms hit on Saturday. And that's when I called for a 6.5 to a 8.2 earthquakes in California, Southern California. And I don't believe it's just Southern California either. I think that this is what's going to light up first. The Anza-Borrego National Forest or State Park, Anza-Borrego State Park here. That's what's going to light up first. Then Los Angeles, then San Francisco, and right up to the Cascadia subduction zone. It's all going to light up, folks. Okay, even Dutch Sense mentioned it today. It's all going to light up. 100+ earthquakes down here in Southern California. Okay. Let's go down to San Diego. Let's go down to San Diego. Lake Henshaw, California, where I used to go fishing. Again, we have 2 earthquakes. 2 earthquakes there. 0.48 and another 0.48. Side by side, folks. Same magnitude quakes, side by side. There's a reason I'm saying it. There's a reason I'm pointing it out. Watch what happens. And actually, there's 3 earthquakes. I'm sorry, there's 3. 0.49, 0.48, excuse me, 0.48, 0.64, and 0.48 again. Okay, literally side by side, within maybe 2 football fields of each other. Within like 2 football fields. There's my Lake Henshaw right there. That's Lake Henshaw, and just off to the east side of the lake. Okay, Lake Henshaw. Over in San Diego, again, a place where I used to live. Lakeside, California is 0.81. Lakeside, California is 0.81. Now I'm going to show you where this earthquake hit. Okay, this hit in the hills just west of Lakeside. Lakeside's right here. This is west of Lakeside. Okay, what do we have here? This is a quarry. This is a sand and gravel quarry. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's Caltrans that owns this property. It's a quarry. What do we have? This area has been constantly hit over here in Lakeside. This whole area, this quarry, this whole area has been hit. Okay, just pointing it out. This is Lakeside. Just wanted to show you. There's the earthquake. That's Lakeside. Just so you know, Lakeside has gotten hit. The Anza Gap has gotten hit. Going down here towards the Salton Sea. Borrego Springs again. Okay. Anza Gap, Borrego Springs getting hit. 0.59 in Borrego and a 0.87 in Borrego. Over on the east side, northeast side of the Salton Sea, we have a town out in the middle of the California desert that probably got to, I believe, 85 degrees today. It's called Thermal, California, 1.36 Thermal, California. And it's hotter than blazes. Over here at the south end of the Salton Sea, near the Salton Butte volcano, we have Nyland, California, 1.32. Right next to what? Calipatria. What happens in Calipatria? Said the blind mouse. Said the wise man. Okay, where'd the power plant go? Okay, I keep pulling up the volcanoes. Okay, we have the buttes. Remember the mud pots? Salton Butte volcano mud pots. I'm looking for the power plant here. It's right near there. Bingo. There it is. There's our power plant. There's our turbines pulling steam out of the Salton Butte volcano, generating electricity. For what? Okay. Generating electricity for the Imperial Gas and Electric. There's the earthquake. There's the power plant. Earthquake, power plant. Salton Butte volcano. True story, folks. True story. South of the border, Delta, British Columbia. Excuse me, British Columbia. Delta, Baja California. BC, Baja California, BC, British Columbia. This is south. Mexico. We have 3 earthquakes south of the Cerro Prado volcano. We have a 2.99, a 2.70, and a 1.90. The volcano is right up here. I'm going to show it to you in just a second. So 3 earthquakes south of the Cerro Prado volcano. There's the volcano. The Phoenix. Okay. Volcano. Power plant. Yeah, there's a power plant there. Okay. Volcano. Right up here. Earthquakes. And it's not very far. Maybe 20 miles, 15, 20 miles. Small earthquakes, volcano. Right next to the power plant. It's amazing they put a power plant literally right next to the volcano. It's amazing, just amazing. Now I want to go further into the Baja, just east of Ensenada. We had another earthquake. This was a 2.8, just a minor earthquake, 32 miles east of Manadero, Baja California, right there. Right there. Now, right here is the West Coast, Ensenada, Manadero here. And over here, what do we have? The Gulf of California, right there. The Gulf of California. Okay. And you can see the San Andreas Fault coming out of California, going right down into the Baja Gulf of California. Okay, we have a few other earthquakes to talk to you about. 7:39 p.m. We have a few other earthquakes to talk to you about. We talked about the Pacific Northwest, didn't we? Let's talk about Yellowstone. Talk about Yellowstone. Hungry Horse, Montana. This is the first time we've had to mention Hungry Horse, Montana. Speaking of which, I'm a hungry horse tonight. I'm getting hungry. After this program, guess what I'm going to do? Hungry Horse, Montana. We have a 1.39 earthquake. 1.39 up here in Hungry Horse, Montana. Part of the Yellowstone magma chamber. Now, they're not reporting any other earthquakes except that one. This one's down here in Salt Lake City. Hungry Horse, Montana. Yellowstone Park, Yellowstone volcano, 11 Grand Canyons in size, and one earthquake. I'm sorry, there are quite a few earthquakes that are not being reported, not even by the EMSC. Let's go down to Salt Lake City, Utah today. Actually, before that, let's talk about the west side of the Yellowstone magma chamber. Let's go there first, okay? This is where we had the 6.7 magnitude earthquake. Excuse me, 6.5 magnitude earthquake. Still swarming, folks. The north side, a 3.3. North side, a 3.3 today. Down here, we're still getting 2.7s, 3.2s, 2.56, 2.50, and on the south, a 2.7. So we have a 3 up here and 2.7 on the south. Okay, that's on the west side of the Yellowstone magma chamber. Again, let's go down here to Salt Lake City, Utah. Actually, north of Salt Lake City first. The south end of the Yellowstone magma chamber down here. There's Soda Springs, we can't forget that. A 2.02 earthquake in Soda Springs, south side of Yellowstone. Let's go down to Salt Lake City. North of Salt Lake. Actually, before we get to that, let's go to Magna, Utah. We just had an earthquake in Magna today, this evening, 0.59. Magna, Utah, epicenter of the quake, 5.7 earthquake. There's a 0.59 here, the epicenter of the quake. Just south and east of the Great Salt Lake. Okay, let's go east again. West Valley. West Valley is 0.73. Okay, 0.73. Then we go northeast. North Salt Lake, we've got a 0.68. a little bit of a distance from magna, little bit of distance from magma, but we're getting closer to the Wasatch. There's the Wasatch. Magna, Wasatch, or Magna, Wasatch. It's moving. Just so you'll know. Magna, Wasatch. 2 earthquakes, one here moving close. This one's North Salt Lake, moving close. Fascinating, huh? Fascinating. Milford, Utah, central Utah today. We have 2 earthquakes. 2 earthquakes in Milford, actually 3. We have a minus 0.73, meaning above sea level. Above sea level. The Black Rock Desert volcano, 0.73, 0.28, 0.48, 0.48. Again, 2 0.48s right near each other, and 0.28 right next to them. 0.28, 0.48, excuse me, 0.48, 0.28 just north. And what do we have just on the other side of that? In fact, we have more than that. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. We had 5 earthquakes side by side, north to south, minus 0.48, again above sea level. Just south of there, minus 0.08. South of there, we have a 0.28. Then right next to each other down here, a 0.91 and a 0.48. 5 earthquakes, 2 0.48s, and the other were also above sea level right there. And just east of there, excuse me, west of there, we have a 0.79 in Milford. Black Rock Desert volcano. All of these earthquakes. Black Rock Desert volcano. It's a big deal. I've got some interesting pictures that I took when I was out there at the Black Rock Desert volcano, hunting for fossils. Hunting for fossils. I've got some interesting pictures of the Black Rock Desert volcano. I'll show you someday. Moreland, Oklahoma. Let's go to central United States, Oklahoma. Moreland, 0.78. Right next to there, 0.57. Just east of there, 2.18. Just north of the 2.18, we have a 1.88, Cherokee, Oklahoma. Let's continue going east. We have 2 more earthquakes. 1.95 and a 0.65 in Perry, Oklahoma. Again, Perry, Oklahoma gets hit quite often. And every one of these are oil and gas pumping operations. Every last one of them. Okay. There's 2 earthquakes right there. Let's look at the oil and gas pumping operations. That's one set. That's one set. Oh, come on, you stupid doggone it. Okay. That's one set of pumping operations there. Pump and jack, pump and jack. Okay. And we have more. Oh, come on here. Yeah, pad after pad after pad. Some of them are vacant. They pulled the pump and jacks out. I'm going to show you this just to show you what's going on. We got a pump and jack right there off center from the pad. Got a pump and jack there. You can see the shadow. In fact, you can see the lines too. You can see the lines leading to and from, away from it. There is the pond. Okay, they feed the wastewater, treated wastewater, and throw it into the earth. Just trying to find another one here. There are a bunch of them all over the place. It's huge, huge oil and gas pumping operation. With related buildings, I'm just trying to find the other jacks. It's amazing. You find one set of jacks and then you find a bunch of empty pads where they pulled the jacks off. Here's Perry, Oklahoma. Just so you know, good old Perry, Oklahoma. Wow. It's just totally amazing. I find all of these pads Here we go. There's another one. Oh gosh, they're all over. It's fun. It's fun when I go see these, go to places. It doesn't have to be Oklahoma. I've been everywhere. Been all over Texas. Huge, huge, huge. Look at this. Pad after pad after pad. They're everywhere. You can see them. They're everywhere. All over, pad after pad. Perry, Oklahoma, folks. Okay, Perry, Oklahoma. Okay, then we go over north of the San Andreas Fault. Not San Andreas. What am I thinking? I got San Andreas on the brain. On the north side of the New Madrid Fault. Okay, we have a 2.73. This is in Obion, Tennessee. Okay, we can see the New Madrid Fault here. You can see the New Madrid Fault coming up. Obion, Tennessee. This one is a 2.73 earthquake. Obion, Tennessee. Tiptonville, Tennessee, not too far from there. Okay, New Madrid Fault getting hit today. New Madrid Fault getting hit. Nothing else along the eastern seaboard of the United States. Pennsylvania got hit yesterday, nothing there today. Okay, nothing there today. Not a thing. Okay, you've given us 2 hours, we've given you the world and the United States of America. Okay. Again, we are expecting along the west coast of the United States, possibly starting over here in Southern California, San Diego, and Jabrego State Park. Anywhere from a 6.0 to an 8.2 magnitude earthquake going up into the Pacific Northwest. Up into the Pacific Northwest. Cascadia, folks. Cascadia. Be prepared. It's coming. It's coming, excuse me. Had a hiccup. It's coming. My word, it's coming. And it could come in within the next 72 hours. I'm praying it doesn't happen on Easter. That's one thing that I'm praying for, that it doesn't happen on Easter Sunday. Folks, I'm very concerned. I am very, very concerned that this earthquake could hit on Easter Sunday. I'm praying we're wrong. I've given it until Tuesday next week. I've given this earthquake until Tuesday of next week. I'm praying we are wrong. Folks, at the beginning of this broadcast, I showed you the Pope on Good Friday giving us his message. I showed you the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints asking us all to pray and fast today. Okay, to pray and to fast for not just this nation, but for the world, to try to eliminate the coronavirus, to bring peace to the earth, and try to heal people. To heal people. Folks, I just brought up the chat room. Connie, Scooter Pie, Marshall. Again, Marshall, I want to thank you for the beautiful card you sent. For the beautiful card that you sent. I want to thank Loretta for the beautiful card that you sent us and the donations that you sent us, both of you. Thank you so much. Now, with this fast and prayer that we've done today, I pray that each one of us will be blessed. I pray that the people that have been affected by this coronavirus are healed, that their families are comforted, and that the people that have lost, the families who have lost loved ones, and I know several here in Utah, by the way, 136 more people were diagnosed with the coronavirus here in Salt Lake City today. 3 more people have passed away here in Salt Lake City. Now, Hurricane Heather wants us to talk about the severe weather, okay? I want to talk about it too because we're going to have severe weather probably all weekend long. Tune in to James the Weatherman here on YouTube. You're going to find all the weather information that you're going to need to see what is going on. And it's going to hit from the Ohio Valley all the way down into Tennessee, Arkansas, Missouri, Alabama, Kentucky, that whole area, folks, Indiana, that's where it's going to hit. We're praying for them as well today. We're praying for them as well. God bless us all, folks. God bless you. I want to thank you all for being here with us. Robin, thank you for being here too. Robin says she's thankful for the people that she's come across that are Christian here online. I'm also thankful for that. Kathleen, thank you for being here. Kathy, thank you for being here from Hawaii. We really appreciate and love you. Kathy, we pray for your son-in-law as well. Broke his collarbone. Gosh, that's sad. Yes, we will pray for him too. Thank you for everything. On this time of Passover, this Good Friday, I ask the Lord's choicest blessings to be upon all of us, not just here in the United States, but throughout the world. God bless you. God heal you and comfort you. And may God bless the United States of America and every country. Please pray that this earthquake doesn't hit on Easter. I don't want to remember Easter 2020 as having one of the worst earthquakes in history. Let's pray for each other and stand with each other. Please. Please know how much I love each and every one of you. Please know that. I want to thank the owners and operators of the Freedom Revolution Network. God bless you, gals. My friends, my partners in crime, my sisters, and all of my family. God bless and take care of each and every one of you. I love you. I care about you all. As Walter Cronkite would say, and that's the way it is. This Good Friday, April 10th, 2020, for Emergency Management Associates, this is Ron Tyler. Have a great evening, folks. God bless you. And do know that we love you. Wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you know? Not everything works like we want it to work. Good night, everybody. God bless you. Do know that we love you. If anything else happens, we'll be back here to tell you about it just as soon as we get the information. Good night. Thank you.